Welcome to Find It. I am here with you tonight. I'm so glad you're joining us. I am still obsessed with what I finished reading today, The Black Pearl, a love letter to the ocean. And I have the author right here with me. Her name is Cynthia Manion. You know what? She and I have been sitting in a class, Grow Live Academy, every Thursday night. And I've always enjoyed her, but I did not realize all of her accomplishments. And she still gave me a bio that was very brief. And I didn't even know what all her accomplishments were. And so I got to the end of the book and it said a little bit about the author. And I was like, Cynthia, you humble pie. Well, anyway, I'm going to bring her on so you all can meet her and hear her story. And we're going to talk a little bit about the book and some other things. So hang tight. We're going to show an intro for Cynthia, and she'll be right back with us. Hello, Cynthia.
Oh, that was adorable. Thank you. You are amazing.
Oh, you know what? You really make me blush saying that, especially after reading all your credentials and all the things you've done. Bob Donnell's already coming in. Hi, Bob. It's good to see you here. Eric Flanoy. He said he's found it. He found it. It's so nice for you guys all to be on here tuning in. But Cynthia, like I said in the intro, you and I have enjoyed Grow Live together and, learned a lot, met a lot of people through there. And I knew that you were a fitness model, you were in competitions. And a couple of times during Grow Live Academy, I remember you were like on an elliptical or an exercise bike. And I was like, man, that's good. She's maximizing her time. She's getting her workout in while she's going to class. And I remember thinking that was so cute. But I got to tell you something, you guys, this book, it is fiction, but in my mind, it was real today. I was like, this is amazing. And I want to talk more about this. But first, I want to talk about you and your life and how you got to where you are now. So where are you originally from? Now, this is interesting too, what your father did.
Well, I'm from the world.
Yes.
So I have moved pretty much every 2 or 3 years my whole life. I was born in Pennsylvania, but since I only lived there for 2 weeks, I never thought it counted. Like I only recently drove by to see the hospital I was born in. Not recently, but pre-COVID.
Yeah.
In a road trip. But I lived in the east and west coast of the United States, all over Europe and East Africa. My favorite being the Seychelles Islands, which is so close to my heart. One of my goals or opportunities, or I forget what you were saying today in your podcast about not using goals, using opportunities, is to bring my family to the Seychelles Islands, because I've been talking about it their whole lives, and most of them weren't either born yet. Or they're like,
and I wasn't even certain how to pronounce that. So thank you for clearing that up for me, because you talk about that in the book. And I was like, I was going to Google it and have it pronounce it for me. But now here you are. You can tell me how to say it. But I got to tell you, so your father, though, was a military man, but he was a colonel.
And you know what's really, really cool? He was the commander of the Satellite Test Control Center in the Seychelles Islands. He always had plumb amazing assignments. It was terrific because I got to be like the first lady under my mom. Long story, we'll come back to it. The point of the story is my little sister, who I raised from age 3, she is a full bird colonel in the United States Air Force and is the commander in Lackley Air Force Base in Texas, in San Antonio. And she is amazing.
What's the age difference between you guys?
18 years, same parents.
Yes, because when I read that at the end of the book that you, and we'll get into that later. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
I know. Me too. Like holding myself.
It's just so interesting. But you did travel the world with your family because your father was a colonel. And wow, so y'all a bunch of slackers. I mean, gosh, now your sister's a colonel too, and you're an author and a model and a, coach and a public speaker. And oh my gosh, the list goes on. But I I think it's interesting. You're very worldly from the very beginning. My daughter's just said hello to us. Hi, Victoria.
Who's adorable.
You've gone all over lived all over the world. So you mentioned that you were very social at an early age because of that. So my question to you is, there's a lot of people who will say moving around made them feel like they were always the new kid and it made it very difficult. But for you, that wasn't the case. No?
It's the adventure of my life. And it is true. I can see why they would say that because I'm exactly the same. But sometimes when we move someplace, I'd be like the most popular, coolest kid. And sometimes when I moved someplace, I was like the geek. Like I didn't even know what's going on. I didn't know how to dress. It was when we moved to Keesler Air Force Base, that was like the worst place.
Wait a minute. Where is that? Where did you say?
Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi.
You just didn't fit in there
I
very
did
well.
not fit in, but I tried really hard.
Yeah.
I got something good out of it, as a matter of fact. Yeah, so there was nothing to do there. And you wore all white. Remember when the lights turned your
Yeah.
clothes when you were dancing?
Yep.
Well, I taught my dad how to dance to Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog.
Aw.
He just left us in 2020. I took care of him for 7 years here.
Wow.
And there was nothing for me to do. So at the teen center, they were teaching baton twirling.
Baton twirling?
Baton twirling. So at high school, I knew 3 things. And I made majorettes because I was too tall to be a cheerleader.
How tall are you, Cynthia?
I'm 5'9" and a half, 5'10".
Okay.
But growing up as a military, you are expected to be seen and not heard, and you're supposed to be perfect at all times. I had actually very few clothes, but like the right outfit. This is in the era of black patent leather shoes and gloves and black patent leather purse. Unless it was summer, then you had white patent leather shoes and purse and gloves. And from the age of 4, let me see, I think we were in Germany. My job was count the children, count the footlockers. I was very responsible.
Oh, wow.
And in the Seychelles, I got in trouble for climbing out the window, going around, crawling under the table at one of their big parties because it was a big, big party town. All the ships came there to refuel. It was a British Crown colony at the time. And Sir Bruce Greypatch was unmarried. So that made my mom the first lady of the island for real. So we went on all the ships. She had she had more clothes than I have now, just in evening gowns and cocktail dresses.
Wow.
It was amazing. But I got in trouble for being under the table because I was sneaking hors d'oeuvres. I always wanted to see the ice sculptures that were on the table because they were magnificent. And she looked at me and she was, if you're going to do that, we might as well put you to work. So then every party I got to go around, did you sign the guest book? Have you signed the guest book?
Wait, how young were you when you first started doing that?
I was, let me see. I got there in 4th grade. I skipped 5th grade. I went to Form 1. I guess that's 7th grade. Form 2. I went to Form 1, Form 2. I guess 7th, 8th grade in there.
Wow, that's a big job and also a kind of a cool opportunity for a young girl like that, Yeah,
I got to get dressed up. It was really fun. And then that was back in the day when everyone smoked. So then when that was done, I would come around a cigarette.
Oh gosh. So how long did you live there?
3.5 years.
Okay. And then you moved from there and you went from there where? I mean, your high school, were you at one place your high school years?
Sort of, kind of. I was in the same state.
So you didn't stay. I feel like that's so tough, but you're so resilient in so many ways. And we're going to get into that, why I consider you resilient. And I really admire you in a lot of ways. After reading, I loved the book. The book is fiction, but the end where you talk about your life, very Cliff Note version. But I was like, wow, impressive and very resilient. And it just makes me realize even more what a powerful, strong woman you are. So what did you learn in your life traveling as a young kid? What did you learn from that? You said it was sort of a gift and you loved it, but what was the biggest lesson in those travels as a young kid, going into new schools, trying to fit in or just fitting in or not?
Actually, there's so many. 1, I was always interested in people. 2, a smile can get you anywhere. 3, people are people no matter if who they are, what color they are, where they are, what language they speak. As a child, it's easier to just make friends
Yeah.
and to find a bathroom anywhere.
Yeah, you can. So do you speak, do you speak multiple languages or?
Terrible, but actually when I lived there, I did, and I can't remember them.
Yeah. Hey, just like our muscles, if we don't use it, we lose it, right?
Apparently, German was my first language, and I can barely understand it now.
Yeah. Wow. So, all right. So now you're going out. You've graduated. What were your dreams as a high schooler? What did you think you were going to end up doing?
I thought I was going to be in marketing. I was going to be a businesswoman and a model, perhaps an actress. I got my AFTRA and Screen Actors Guilds card. SAG and AFTRA, they merged, and equity cards.
What state were you in when you graduated high school?
I was in Virginia.
Okay.
And I went to Mount Vernon College and got my associate's degree. And then I got a scholarship to Georgetown University. And then I went to Georgetown for a year and a half. And then I went home at Christmas, and there weren't any decorations up. And I thought, oh, that's really, really strange. And I kept trying to figure out what was wrong with my mom. And so I took her to Fort Belvoir, the hospital, and she was there for quite a long time. And then I went in and found her just on a gurney. I'm like, oh, so I brought her home. And then they called me and they said, your mom's really sick. She has to get to Walter Reed immediately. Yeah. We're sending an ambulance. And so she went to Walter Reed, and she was diagnosed with leukemia. And I moved back home and took care of the kids.
The kids being, let's explain, because I know, because I read, but you're the oldest of four.
But three I was taking care of.
Right.
My brother, who died in 2021. My sister, Christina, who is a pharmacist and a dog lover. She has two adorable Dachshunds. She's terrific. And she lives in Ohio, as a matter of fact. And then my little sister, Carolyn, who was 3 at the time. Was she 3? She might have turned 3. Yeah. And it was actually the worst thing that ever happened to me my whole life.
Yeah.
Because, my mom was my best friend. Because, when you move every 2 or 3 years, 3.5 years, you have one person that's your steady person.
Sure.
And she was my everything.
Yeah, of course.
And I really feel now that I took care of my grandfather, then my mother, then my grandmother, then my stepmother, then my dad, then my brother, sort of. And my son. And I feel like right now I'm coming back to who I was supposed to be when I was 21.
Yeah. You've put your life kind of on hold for the care of a lot of other people. What a strong woman you are to do that. So you went back, your mother passed away from leukemia, and you went back and basically helped your father raise the younger siblings.
Well, that's another little part of the story. My dad had a hard time too. He lost his father on Sunday and his wife on Wednesday.
Jeez.
Of the same week, same month, same year. In fact, we were in Philadelphia for the father's funeral and my mom had just gone in remission when she got really bad. And so I took her and Carolyn and drove back home. And that was in Alexandria, Virginia at the time. And I wasn't brave enough to let her just stay there. I took her back to Walter Reed because I was afraid my dad would kill me if she died at home.
Yeah.
And she died there.
Yeah.
And so we didn't know where dad was for 2 years. So I had all the kids. I got written up in the Washington Post, wasn't a really good thing at the time. But I went back to Georgetown and I was sitting in class. I'll never forget it. Father Zerini, macroeconomics, called on me. And he goes, Manion, are you with us? And I looked at him and went, no, Father, I'm not. And I picked up my books and went home to take care of the family.
Oh my gosh. Cynthia, I need to make sure, don't ever apologize for showing emotion, because wow, I'm about ready to do it. We're going to meet up and just have a big hug and get a good crying. I need to understand what you just said. I want to make sure I'm not confused. You didn't help your dad raise the kids. You were raising the kids for 2 straight years on your own.
Yeah, it was the problem.
Okay. So
I
he kind
so
of got,
much
he just flipped out because he couldn't handle your mom dying, or?
I don't know. My dad was I don't know if you look at the Gentleman's Quarterly and the Playboy magazines, that guy. So
Okay.
he was amazing. He was good looking. He could scuba dive, swim, fish. He was an Ironman. He went on safari. He was in the Air Force. He did Morse code. He could fix anything. He was, you know, the
He was a colonel.
man. He was the man. Actually, he was a lieutenant colonel. My sister outranks him.
Oh, yay. Go, girlfriend. Carolyn, right? Carolyn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. But so that is a huge undertaking for anybody at any age, let alone 21, and you're just trying to discover yourself and get your life on path for what your future would hold. And instead, you were like an instant mother. That's intense, Cynthia.
It was intense. And now I'm taking this little time to reboot and rediscover who I am right now.
So I want to say this too. I know who you are because we're in class together on Thursday nights and we Zoom in like this. But if I didn't know all of this. So what
Does anybody really?
Yeah, right. And the reason none of us really knew is because you have a smile, you're positive, you always bring something positive to the table. You're not, you know, a person who looks sulky or anything like that. So how, Cynthia, have you managed to keep a smile on your face and keep going?
Because life is wonderful. There's so many. I mean, I get joy out of little simple things. You just wouldn't believe it every single day. Might be from wandering the tropical jungles in the Seychelles, where I would just go out. I'd be like 3 mountains away and I hear my mother calling me and I'm going, oh, when she called my full name out, I was like, I am in big trouble.
Yeah.
And I think I'm watched by the angels. I'm so blessed because I went in the jungle by myself in my little shorts and a t-shirt and my Keds. And if I got thirsty, I took a leaf and folded it and just drank some water. And it was so beautiful. The mountains were beautiful. The trails were beautiful. The ocean was beautiful. The sand was beautiful. The water was clear. You could just walk by coral reefs and look down at all the fish swimming. And I just have such a huge appreciation for every single thing. Sometimes when I was even going to work, I would just go outside in the morning and just go, It's like, yeah. So, you know,
appreciating everything around you and the beauty, and, you know, you walk the walk, talk the talk. You're able to find beauty in all the wonderful things around you. And I know that in times of difficulty in your life, you've probably still sought out what is beautiful in your world. And, you know, it's just, wow. I want to say this too. So Cynthia sent me a hardback book that's autographed and a mermaid necklace, because if you didn't notice, the book is about a black pearl and a love letter to the ocean. So it's all about the ocean. And Cynthia and I obviously have something in common, because I've always said I think my birthstone's a seashell. You know, I've seen that quote and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me. And so I loved the book. I'm obsessed with the book. The vision and the how. Okay, so I want to ask you about, and then I want to go back to your life, because I'm skipping around a little bit. But I wanted my sister. I hope my sister's on here right now. My oldest sister is also a lover of the ocean and the sand and just listening and smelling and just being there. We have to do nothing except sit in the sand and we're happy. And tomorrow she goes to the beach. So my copy that I bought that's not signed, I'm going to give to her to take with her as a little present to read while she's sitting on the beach.
Perfect.
Isn't that awesome? And I love my necklace. And then this is the most incredible thing, you guys. So the necklace came in this sweet box, and it's a love pearl, and the necklace was right there. But when you open it, you guys, it's a real oyster in there. Oh my
Did
God.
you open it yet? Did you open the oyster yet?
I haven't. I just opened the box.
You should do it now. Do you have a pocket knife?
Yeah, right here, Cynthia.
I always have a pocket knife.
Yeah. The lieutenant colonel's daughter has a pocket knife. I don't, but oh my gosh, Cynthia.
This is so cool. Yes.
I don't have a pocket knife like her, but I'm trying to. Oh my gosh, can you guys see this?
So there's a real pearl in there. And you put it in your mermaid necklace. So there's either
oh my gosh.
Every pearl's different. You don't know what it is. So if you get a white one, that's for wisdom. If you get a cream one, that's for success.
Oh my gosh.
If you get a peach one, that's for health. If you get a purple one, that's for wealth. If you get a black one, it's for love. So you can't go wrong.
We can't go wrong. Well, you know what's going to happen? We're going to do an after show wrap up. And I'm going to, when we're doing the wrap up, I'll open this up and then I'll let people know what color I got.
That's so fun. And then
and then
open up your little...
this is the wrap it was in. Oh my gosh. How fun is it to be a girl? Like, and get all these beautiful things. Thank you so much, Cynthia. I loved the book because it was a story that engulfed me. And I told Cynthia my copy that I bought myself didn't come in until yesterday. And I got it off of Amazon. So I'm going to be leaving a very beautiful review. But I thought, oh my gosh, I don't have time. I don't have time to read it. So I'm going to skim through it because I want to know what this is about. You guys, when I started, that was it. I couldn't put it down. And it had twists and turns. And I was with this gal. I was with Kat at the ocean. I was with Kat in the office life and all that. I want to ask you, what part of this, if any, inspired you? What inspired you to write it? And are you anything like Kat, the main character?
Well, when you write a book, there's a little bit of you in every single part of it. But I actually have a girlfriend named Kat in LA who went through this ish.
Really?
The story's, a story, but yeah, most of it's
some parallels.
True, yeah, actually, for a fiction book.
That's incredible.
Actually, yes, I have 5 soul sisters in, let's see, 2 are in California, Santa Barbara. I don't know if Katrina's in LA now or anyway, California, Arizona, Texas.
She has to feel so special that you did. I'm sorry, I'm fidgeting. She has to feel so special that you used her actual name and kind of like, symbolic of her life.
Oh, yeah. I don't think she's read the book yet.
Oh no, she needs to.
Oh,
I love it. And like I was telling Cynthia at the beginning of the show, I love a good self-help book. I love a good motivational book. I love all of that. But it's been a minute since I've read a book that's fiction that draws me in and takes me to another place in my mind that's just magical. And I enjoyed it. And I also like that it's not a huge investment of time. It has a lot of detail and theatrics without being, where you can read it in a day,
Mm-hmm. I also did it a little larger type, so it's easier to read.
Yeah.
And I did it on nicer paper.
Yeah, it does. It does feel different. The pages feel thicker.
Because some of the books I get, I don't like the feel of the paper.
Yeah.
And there's a magazine I used to love, and they changed the paper, and I don't read it anymore because
I don't like turning that page. It doesn't feel good, my little fingers.
And I don't like to read magazines online. I like to
I like to
turn down the page and
me too.
Tear it out.
I only have a couple places where I dog-eared it because I couldn't put it down. I was like, oh my gosh, I loved it. It was so good, you guys. So good. And it was funny because I love that you mentioned a lot of real destinations. And you mentioned Dublin, Ohio in there.
Yes. My sister Christina lives in Dublin, Ohio.
Oh, wow, that was so cool. And then, a lot of the
You
places
live
that
in
you mentioned,
Ohio.
and I live in Ohio. I don't it's not very far from me, Dublin. And so I was like, "Oh, that's funny," because Kat in the story, Kat's parents lived in Dublin. So anyway, now that I've talked a little bit more about the book, and also, can we just give a big shout out that I'm always in theme? Don't tempt me with a good theme. I'm going to let the hair go more. I feel like a little mermaid today. I had to match the book, y'all. I was showing Cynthia. I had this shirt on first,
Love
and
it.
then I was like, it didn't look like I had clothes on because it's just right here. So I was like, I better change it. But no, this is the thing. How does a person write a book and be able to tell a story and think about all of the details like you did? I mean, have you always been able to do that? Like tell stories in your head? No?
No, I wrote my first story in second grade in Palo Alto, California, and it was in the newspaper. And it was a big deal for my mom went out and bought 6 copies of the newspaper. They don't just buy copies of the newspaper back then, one for grandma, one for Aunt Mary and Uncle Bill, one for her, one for the neighbor. Oh, maybe it was only 5. Can't think of who the other one was. Anyway, and she was so excited, and I was in bed, and Dad came home, and she was like, look. Cynthia wrote a book, and look, it's in the newspaper, and look, it's called The Turtle. And Dad read it, and he went, that's stupid. Who would read that? And I went,
Oh, words hurt,
yes, you're right. You said that before in one of your podcasts, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact. You said the sticks and stones can break your bones, but names can never hurt you. But they do.
Worse than a broken bone, because a broken bone will heal, and the hurt that you feel in your heart and soul sometimes doesn't. And words, sometimes we believe the things that people tell us, and it doesn't feel good. So, well, I'm glad you kicked that idea to the curb finally and started writing, because this is a good book. I hope you write more.
I've been writing 3 other books since my 20s. I had a model girlfriend in New York, Robin Dukowski. I need to find you, Robin. And thank you, because she was like, back then she was like, you should write a book. This is when I found helped my dad find a suitable mom for the kids and got married and moved them to Annapolis, Maryland. And so I went to New York to be a model. And my dad dared me. We weren't doing well. So he dared me for 1 month, but I have to overdo everything. So I went for many years. But we were in the dressing room, and Robin said, you should write. And I was like, yeah. So it's taken me a few decades to get there.
But you did it.
Now I have a few almost written. And then what was really fun is my sons said, what are you working on? I said, I'm working on Savannah Seas. I'm working on my biography. And he goes, oh, that's the one I really want to read, your biography. And I was like, wow, right. He doesn't really know anything about me.
Yeah, because Cynthia, I didn't know all of these things until I read, and even like I said, you gave me a bio to publish your banner with, and it was basically like, yeah, I'm a gal who wants to help people who are over 55 be able to be the person that they want to be now, and all that. I was like, yeah, me too. That's awesome. And then I read your book, and I read the end about the author, and I was like, Cynthia, you little badass. Oh my goodness. Didn't know all of this. So let's talk about this. So, okay, you go raise your siblings. At 21, you drop out of school, right? Because you can't do both. You can't be at Georgetown and then also, right?
Can't
So
do it.
you go and you raise these kids, and then finally you are able to step away because your dad comes back, he gets remarried, and then you go do what?
Well, we were actually having a big argument at the kitchen table in Alexandria, Virginia. You know how kids are? Like, they know where the power is. And if they're not getting the right answer from you, they're going to get the right answer from
Someone
dad
else.
or mom or whoever your authority figure is. So they were already playing us against each other. I would say no, he would say yes, and vice versa. It was getting really icky. And we were having a few drinks at the kitchen table while we discussed our parenting skills, because now I thought I was queen of the house. So
Yeah.
you can't appear and start playing this game. I was like, The
Yeah.
nerve.
Yeah.
You know, bad word, bad word, bad word.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, fine. You take over, you know. And we had a little discussion about that. And I said, I'll leave. And he goes, when are you leaving? I said, Saturday. He goes, where are you going? Well, I knew at the time he hated India and New York City as the cesspools of the world the most. So I thought India was a little far. I figured I could drive to New York. So I went, New York City. He goes, what are you taking with you? I said, the mattress off my bed. So I kind of forgot about it ish. And on Saturday morning, I'm sound asleep. I'm like, what? He goes, I came to get the mattress off your bed for you. Do you want it tied on your car? I was like, yes, sir. And I jumped up and packed, and I got all $400 that I had to my entire name.
Oh.
I got in my car and I drove to Baltimore to saw some friends. Like, I can't live without me. I can't live. What am I going to do? I don't know anyone in New York. And they're like, go. You got to go. And I'm like, I don't want to go.
It's scary.
Can I stay here with you? And they're like, no, you got to go. So I drove into New York. I got backstage, the Ross reports, and I found a roommate who's Georgia Harold. We're still friends.
Wow.
And the rent was $400. And this was it was on West 73rd Street. It was a 4th floor walk up. I gave her my $400. She said, you get the room in the front. And then it was sort of like you walk through here. There was a sink and a small refrigerator. Her room was the living room, dining room, right? And then there was a bathroom over there. So when you walked into my quote room.
Oh.
And I was like, great. So I packed hastily. My dad always had a survival place. So when I'm underneath there, you know, he had military full of tin cans. And so I got like peach juice and soup and of course the romaine noodles, you know, you live on those. And so that's all I had. And I was moved and she left. So I'm pulling up that mattress up the 4th floor walk up, and I opened the peach juice because I was so thirsty, and I just kind of drank it out of the can, and I got the worst cramps, and I'm sitting on, I'm not probably the 2nd or the 3rd floor going, oh, I can't do this. So I let the mattress just fall down and leave. No, I already gave her my $400. Okay. Said a little prayer. I'm like, okay, I can get this mattress up. I got one more flight or 1.5 more flights. And I dragged it in. And I was like, oh.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You drove all the way to New York City with a mattress on the top of your car. Let's just talk about that visual for a second. Like, not even waiting until you're dragging a mattress up 4 flights of stairs, which, by the way, you have been a fitness model and competition. So you're no stranger to lifting stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute. But then you're living there with really a perfect stranger.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily she wasn't a psychopath and you're still
Her
friends with
boyfriend
her.
was.
What?
Her boyfriend was.
Oh, so you get there and then what are you going to do for work?
I got the Ross reports and backstage, and the Ross reports. This is the only, I hate to say, blonde thing that I did. I started alphabetically with the A's.
Yeah, instead of like really.
And I'm wearing the same outfit almost every day. And I thought I was the hot stuff. It was a little white mini skirt with a kind of woven white leather top and white patent leather heels that I actually wore down the heels. And I walked in alphabetic order. And I didn't get the job until the eyes.
Oh my gosh. And finally you got to the eyes, and the eyes, someone in the eyes picked you.
Yeah, the international models. I owe them a big debt. I don't even know if they're still around. I have to check on it. Yeah, they got me toy fair. So I was like Barbie for the toy fair, and I worked for the Garfield cat, and Mattel had me back all the time. And then I got my first check, right? So I had to take the check to the model agency, and then I had to get my piece, but they gave me a check. That's not how it worked. No, I begged them to give me it to my name because I had to pay my rent, and then I took the other piece back to the. But what happened is, I didn't have a bank account.
Right. I was getting ready to say.
Cash the check. So I had to go back, and I went to them. I said, I can't do it. Can you, like, please go to the bank with me and give me cash because I have to pay my rent. And now I have to pay the modeling agency. I'm a day late for their cut.
Yeah.
And they did. And
Oh,
I had like $50 left, I think, to make it for the next month.
To get
And
another can of peach juice.
the goal was just to
Oh
survive.
my gosh.
And yeah, I remember when I met Eileen Ford, and I used to chew my fingernails to the quick. I used to pick up my toenails and chew them to quick. I was really nervous and my skin around it. And she looked at me and she goes, "You're a very pretty girl, but your hands are disgusting. Go and get a manicure and a pedicure every week. Because if you spend your hard-earned money on it, you'll never pick your nails again."
Oh, good point.
And she goes, "Come and see me in 3 months. We'll see how you do." So I did. And I've never picked my nails since.
Well, they look gorgeous.
And she didn't put me in the Ford's part, but she put me in Today's Woman, which was her like girl around kind of division.
Yeah.
And I got work, and it was very fun. And I'm still here to tell it. And I'm
I
gonna
want to show
if
this
you want me to-
picture I found. I found this of you.
That was in Washington, D.C. I won something. That's how I funded my college, is I won beauty contests and stuff back then. Oh, maybe that was Miss, I'm not sure. I won bikini. I was Miss Legs of America. I was Miss Virginia.
You have very gorgeous legs. And so this brings me to this though. So this was probably, how old were you there probably? It doesn't matter. You were a young fang for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
This is even more impressive in my mind. Because how many years ago was this? Like 2?
Yeah, no, yes.
Because it's been since I've known you.
Yeah.
And
That
I
was my
remember,
first one, I think. That was
and
my
I thought, gosh, you know what? I mean, talk about great work ethic and taking care of your body. And that speaks volumes to me for you to take care of yourself like that and have the commitment to working out. Have you always worked out?
No, as a matter of fact, I haven't. I wasn't very good in I just wish I had played basketball, but it wasn't around when I was a kid. And when you
Yeah.
move all the time, it
Yeah.
was.
How can you be part of something when you're not there? You know?
Um, what's even a bigger blessing and I got really fat when my mom died too. And I got really fat when I had my son. I weighed 300 pounds. Well, like 299. I didn't go over the last pound. So,
Yeah.
but when I had my son was 5 months old. I was trying to make my husband happy. We went skiing. I was nursing at the time. I was humongous. Seriously, I was every part. I looked like a beach whale. I was every part of 299 pounds. And we hadn't changed my skis from when I was, I don't know, 126, 132 in that range. And he wanted to ski one more time. We were on Bear Tree, was an easy one. And I was nursing. They were humongous.
Yeah.
His son needed the milk. And I'm like, sure, one more. And we got to the top of Bear Tree. I think it's a green or a blue. And he goes, "You're not flowing with the mountain. Flow with the mountain." And my ego, I flow with the mountain. I flow with the mountain. And all that weight came down on my right leg, and I shattered my tibia plateau fracture, lateral meniscus tear. Then I got iliac bone graft. They took a cup of bone out of my hip and put it in my knee. 4-hole metal plate, 5 screws, and 2 washers, and I didn't walk for 3 years.
Oh my gosh, Cynthia.
So I was laying in the hospital, Vail Valley Medical Center, and I was on major drugs, and I just used to watch the skiers come down and go up and come down, and then the guys that groom the snow, and another day would go by. And I look at the TV, and there was a commercial on, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to do that." So I entered Mrs. New York. And I figured I would get in shape. So that's when I really started working out. Yeah. And the first time
Wow.
we got,
And that was in when? What year was that? 19 what?
let
It
me see,
wasn't 2000 yet, was it?
my son was born in 1991.
Okay.
So 91, 92, 90. So he was 2 because he would turn 3 in Annapolis, Maryland. So yeah, so he was 2 when I won, actually.
And you won that. But you
The first time I did win. The first time I didn't win. I was in the top, whatever, 2 or 3, but I didn't win. So my husband at the time forbid me to enter again. And I was like, I'm entering and I'm going to win. And so I did.
That's amazing that you like the mindset that you have. But the thing of it is, I read where you had 18 months of physical therapy to get your leg well enough to walk normally. The doctors didn't think you would ever be able to walk normally.
I'm so lucky because they were talking about amputation at the time. So I never complain. I'm like so blessed. I'm just like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you,
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you, thank you. I know people have been through a lot worse, but at the time I was kind of making my money walking.
Yeah, that was your gig, right? And beautiful, beautiful legs as well. I read where you worked for Oscar de la Renta.
Yes, he was so
That's
wonderful with me. Yeah. I was a swimwear model for him, as a matter of fact. And he loved me. I think his first wife used to needlepoint, and I needlepointed. Robin Dukowski taught me how to needlepoint in the dressing room because we spend so much time waiting for shows and stuff in the dressing room. Serena swimwear. And so I would sit outside his office on 7th Avenue. Like the address goes out of my mind. And I would just needlepoint. And he was paying me $250 an hour. And I would sit there for hours and I'd just be
yeah,
needlepointing along. And yeah, I should have made
yeah.
him a fellow. I didn't think of it at the time. I didn't figure that he would want one. But
Yeah, I know
that's
because
not what my
but
mom.
that's just a testament to your personality too. Like in between modeling sets, it can be a long day. You were doing something else in the meantime too,
Oh, yeah, it was so fun.
doing the needlepoint.
And it kept me from eating. Your hands are busy. You don't want to get anything on your fingers and ruin the thread.
Yeah, it's right, right, exactly. Like this isn't gonna go well to have Cheetos right now. We gotta
Oscar de
take
la
some.
Renta taught me how to eat gefilte fish.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a Jewish delicacy for one of the holidays that we were working on, and
Oh,
like all the staff was there, and he put out this whole Jewish spread, and it was
yeah, that's awesome
interesting.
that you had you guys were friends. You worked for him. You knew his
It was
wife. That's amazing.
the whole staff was lovely. Everyone was lovely.
Yeah, and then you also so let's do the timeline again though, because then you went to find yourself, you went to New York, you started all these different you blessed to get in with people like Oscar de la Renta, and then I read Gloria Vanderbilt.
Well, I
And
was fit modeled, so I did that. I did Donna Karan. I wore swimwear for most of these. I did Sandcastle, Serena, Oscar de la Renta. Actually, you name it. Giorgio St. Angelo. Oh, he was a doll. Yeah, I did all his shows.
that's so cool.
I met Halston, Jeffrey Bean. But you know, the thing I didn't know that was, I was just trying to pay my rent.
Exactly. You're just trying to get your mattress off your car, up 4 flights, and pay your bills.
I
But
do
now what
remember
great memories you have though with being able to do modeling and, meet these cool people.
somehow talking to you makes me, I haven't even thought about them. I just had a vision though, when I was thinking of you being so prepared, reading the book, preparation, and, doing
Yeah,
your homework for our
yeah.
meeting. I'm very impressed. That's terrific. And I remember thinking I didn't really prepare for that New York trip. And I was on a payphone trying to call this girl to get the room, right? And there was a couple walking by. So I was on 72nd or 73rd. I'm not sure if that was Broadway or Columbus Avenue. And I was like over here on the payphone, and the car was here. It was a white Mercury Monarch that I had bought. That was not mine, actually. I bought that for my mom. My first car was a rebuilt Volkswagen I bought for $500 with my babysitting money. And the couple goes, "Oh my, when they moved to New York, they really moved to New York." And I was like, and the inside was full of like I didn't really pack it. It was kind of like I had my one
Ronan.
Samsonite bag that I got from my high school, and then I had like the cans were just like,
Yeah.
hello, like
That's all you had to say was, "Well, get a load of this. I've got cans of food in my car too." Dinner.
and tuna fish. Yeah, there's a lot of tuna fish.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's like,
Wow. So then and then you also worked for at what point in your career did you go with Harley Davidson and work with their it seems like you're their merchandise like their
oh yes, that was a great job.
yeah, so did you cover all I mean, you were like their person for merchandising or
Yeah,
what?
it was
Yeah.
wonderful. Yes. It was, I don't even know how I was feeling smart that whatever day I interviewed them. And um I had been working for Gloria Vanderbilt, and everyone thought I was out interviewing, but really I was going to Jenny Craig for the food and getting Perrier water to drink 6 bottles of Perrier to get skinny again because I had,
Beefed up a little bit.
and I wasn't interviewing, but I thought, huh, if everyone thinks I'm interviewing, why don't I?
No way.
So I interviewed and I got the job, and my brother rode a Harley. So I kind of knew a little bit about bikes.
Yeah.
And I was in New York and I didn't know the word no. And I supervised a 23 road staff, just like saying, oh, you got to go to this store, that store, because I shopped in the store. So I knew them. And I remember I called up Bergdorf Goodman and they were like, have you ever shopped in our store? And I was like, yes, that's why I'm going to have the best leathers. It's going to be the hottest thing. They're like, click, click, click. So I called up Bloomingdale's. I got a Harley in every window in Bloomingdale's, New York City. It
Wow.
was, they built me, it was like a huge LP, like humongous. And we had 3 bikes from, it's actually in Long Island, the Harley in, not in New York is really Long Island, New York.
Yeah.
We had 3 Harleys come out and open the show.
Oh, fun.
And then Bergdorf Goodman called me up and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sold out.
Yeah, Bloomingdale's had the winning ticket. They saw it, didn't they? They
So
saw the
fun. They were so
vision.
wonderful. And I got my first $1 million order in LA at Magic. That was the menswear show. I don't know if they still
I've
have
been there. I
You
mean,
did?
I've been to those. Yeah, I used to go to buy for boutiques, so I've been to the Magic. Yeah.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, from my very first, so I'm not even sure what year, my son wasn't born yet. So that was before 91. They gave me, this is what I got for my my $1 million order.
What
And
is
I've
it?
been using Mont Blanc pen and pencil set.
Oh,
And it's only here because I use it. So I've been using these since before my son was born.
wow.
My son is a man now. He's taller than me. He's so successful. He's amazing. Just
And you only had one child, right?
yeah, I did one perfect child.
One perfect child.
I
You're
already
one
raised
and done.
4, right?
One and done. You did it right. Well, after raising your siblings, having one of your own was probably plenty.
I was very excited with that, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm good." And your husband played baseball. My son played
Yeah.
baseball.
Yeah.
He was in Baltimore. I
Oh,
remember
wow.
going to see some of those games. I wonder if we ever saw him.
Oh, maybe.
My son, when he was little, and my son was a big Yankee fan, and we were there in the middle of Oriole territory, and he pulled off his sweatshirt and he had a Yankees going. And then someone was challenging him. He was turning around. He knew every single statistic, and he was like, "Blah, blah, blah, blah."
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, wow. And luckily he was a little kid, so he got away with
I
that.
was a nervous wreck.
Yeah, if he would have been a big dude like he is now, he would have had some
Woo,
problems.
woo.
That's for sure. Well, I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you about, in your bio, what you've done a lot of amazing things. And
I'm
you guys,
looking for the next amazing thing, so let me know.
yeah, I want to, when you all buy the book and my sister gets a free one, but when you read her accomplishments in the back, you'll just be like, wow, that's impressive. But I really think that obviously what the most important things, and I'll let you answer it, but to me, in your bio, just saying that you like to help other people find their now, the person they're meant to be. Is that what you're most passionate about? And how are you sharing that with other people?
I bring joy to everybody all the time, and I didn't even know it was a thing. It's just I pick up a daisy and give someone a flower, smile, remembering them, remembering birthdays, at work, remembering all the little things that are important to people, and just at the gym, just talking to people because they're like, one of my bosses once said, "Why is she always so happy?" I was like, "Oh, I didn't really realize that," but I leave a little earlier so that I'm not driving like a maniac, right? So I can let people in front of me. I always wave to the crossing guards if I happen. I'm usually at work. Used to be at work before they were out, but Glenn Morshire told me something. Was it Glenn? I think maybe it was that said, "Oh, bring them donuts." I haven't pulled that off yet, but I just wave to them and say hi,
Yeah.
And I remember, and I was at Jennifer Gittimore and Jeffrey Gittimore's thing
Yeah.
in Atlanta, and she looked at me and she went, "Oh, I just can't believe you know all my people's names," right? Just
Yeah.
common courtesy, bringing flowers, helping. I'm pretty passionate about leukemia because my mom died of leukemia, and very passionate about the ocean and making sure people can swim, and reading and literacy. I was reading at senior center that I put my dad in for a few weeks, and I couldn't do it. That's why he came and lived with me for 7 years. When I was in New York, I ran a thing Tuesdays and Thursdays at St. Martin's Park. That's the bottom of, I'm not 36th, 34th Street, East Side. And I was really babysitting, right? But we would have, a dozen kids that were lower poverty kids, and just talking to them and their parents, and they'd be like all happy. We did really, really cool projects.
Yeah.
I remember my husband being mad that I was spending all this money on felt and
Like all
sparkling. Remember I made these, it was like a glove like this, right? And I spent, I don't know, the whole like week stitching the sides. And then I had my grandmother's button jar. It was like this. And I brought it in, and all the kids got to pick buttons for the eyes and the nose and the mouth.
Oh, you made little puppets.
Yes.
That's fun.
It was so much fun. And just little things like that. The parents were so happy. I'm still friends with a couple of them too. They invite me for dinner now and then. They're all in New York and following up, and they're all like big people now. It's amazing. But when you talk to anybody, like when I was in the senior citizens homes, when you look at them, I think everyone should have a picture of who they were, not like the old shriveled up grouchy person on their door, so they can say, this is who I was. And yeah, because every single person has that little seed. And through the epidemic, so many people lost who they were. They, started eating. I mean, there's great sparks, but so many people started eating that poorly, drinking, and they lost that little thing that you wanted to be when you were 21, 5, 8.
Are you finding your spark back? Now is your time? Do you feel like now more than ever you're able to find your little seed of who you are meant to be?
Yeah, maybe the first time.
Wow, Cynthia.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm standing here on a completely new platform. I've done all my work. I've taken care of everyone. I am free as a bird, trying to decide which road less traveled should I take.
Wow. I've got to just read this one little part and this is what I think you gave me for your bio, but it was where you said, my mission is to reach humans over 55 years of age who may have lost themselves along the life path. I want to bring joy and caring to others, and I do this through my books, speeches, acting, and personal appearances. And do you have, where are you going? Where have you been for your personal appearances? If someone wants to have you on their podcast or have you come speak, along the bottom, this is how you can contact Cynthia. But are you doing that currently? Have you been doing this, guest speaking at events or anything?
Yeah, I just started, and I'm having a wonderful time. In Annapolis, I did this little book reading thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to Philadelphia. Is it not until July, to do a book club. And I was on Mark Victor Hansen's podcast.
Nice.
And I told them if they order 200 books that I would come and give a talk. So I figured, old age homes, like, retirement homes, they could always, golf places, fundraisers, literacy.
Yeah.
And then I had this idea. I don't know how to do this one yet, but the Little Mermaid's hot right now, and she's in all the stores. And I went to Barnes and Noble. I'm on their online one, but I'm not in the store. And I said, you need to have the adult mermaid book right next to the kid mermaid book.
This is Cynthia right here, guys.
Oh, that was so fun. I did that in May.
How did you do? You were literally in a tank?
Yes.
And you had a real mermaid tail on?
It was magical. Absolutely magical.
I love it. I would totally put that.
This May. And it was amazing.
That's so fun. I love that.
So fun.
What made you think to do? I mean, did you set this up?
It kind of set itself up. The
Really?
magic is there. It's amazing. I happened to be flipping through Facebook, when you scroll and do your
Yeah.
how many football fields you scroll through, and one caught my eye, and there was a great big aquarium, right? It's not really that big. It's smaller than me. My feet are all folded up, right? So it's about this big, full of water. And I guess they use it to train mermaids. And it was in Potomac, Maryland. And they said you could just
That's so cute. I love that. That is so fun.
I called up and I made an appointment. And then I said, "Do you have tails?" And they said, "Yeah, go check on the thing." And I called the tail people and they go, "Oh, we don't do that anymore. COVID, too many germs." So I found this blue chiffon dress I figured it would work with. And I got there and there was a girl there who had some tails. And I said, "Oh, do you want to red wine for me?" And she knew it and she like picked it up and she had 5 or 6 there. And she picked up that one and handed it to me.
That was perfect.
And then I just had this little bikini. I brought a little bikini, not so special. And I went into this tent. There was one bikini that was drying from the girl before, or another one that came. And I was like, "Can I rent that?" In fact, I still haven't paid her because she disappeared. And I said I'd give her $35 to rent it, but then she left. And I'm like, "So if you're out there, I need to pay you the $35. It weighs on me all the time." And I think I gave her a book though. I'm not sure. No, I think she before that too. Anyway,
That was so cute.
and it fit perfectly. And then
It was meant to be.
it was like really tricky. It was a lot harder than I thought. It's because there was like these plexiglass things. So when you come up, you have to make sure you come up in between the
Oh
plexiglass.
yeah, knock your noodle.
Head.
Yeah.
And then you had to keep your eyes open. And I just went, "I'm a mermaid. I'm 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 a mermaid."
Oh my
I'm a
gosh.
mermaid."
I love that. I'm like, oh my gosh, we've got to use that because you went and did this. I'm like, what great advertising for your book. And in the book, and I'm going to say this one thing, and then I want you to wrap up with a question I ask all my guests. But something that really hit me with this book, be it fiction or not, you learn something from it. I loved throughout this book the people, the happenstance of meeting certain people and how people are put in your life. And if you open your eyes and you take notice, you'll realize there was a reason why you met that person. That happens several times in the book, and I love that. So the question, Cynthia, I could talk to you forever. Like there's so much I read that I know that I want to ask you about, but we're kind of running out of time. But I ask every guest I have, because the show is called Find It. Cynthia, in your life, what have you found that you can share with us to help us or inspire us to find it too?
Come find it with Debbie.
Oh, come do
I
it.
have such a good time doing my research on Debbie and Lynn. They are amazing. Find it, live it, teach it, love it. I am here. I found a new tribe. I had no idea that you were so amazing either. And Lynn is so amazing. I'm like, oh my goodness. The right person appears to at the right time. The right tribe appears to. And I wasn't ready before. And now the world has opened up. The world is your oyster.
It is. And I've got my own oyster, and I can't wait for the after party so I can open it up and see what color I have. But yeah, you're right. That's good. You find your people. You find your tribe. And sometimes you're closed to it. You're not ready for it, but you are now. And look, we found one another right here on Find It, people. You just never know. All right. Tribe of Scribes. Pat Hazel. Good to see you here. We are at Mermaid Asks today, and I am so thankful for you being here. And I appreciate my beautiful gifts. I will keep them forever and treasure them. And so with that, Cynthia, hang tight because we're going to do the after show. And for everybody else, thank you for joining us. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Hope you did too. And I'll see you next week. Same time, different guest. Have a good one.
That floats around me. Keep